Ship sail, that's it. Ship sail, that's it. Do they get down on it? Ship sail, that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
I travel alone. Sometimes I'm east, sometimes I'm west. No chains can ever...
Greetings and welcome to Georgian Crossroads and beyond. And today we are going beyond. We're going into the entire world looking for good travelers in our quest to rank tourists from the worst to the best. And we are now more than halfway in our series. We've already talked about the worst of the worst. We've talked about people who don't really understand what they're doing. We've also talked about people who are good tourists mainly, but there are a lot of problems associated with the methods that they use. And today, you'll notice we've switched from talking about tourists to talking about travelers, good travelers. Some of the things we'll be discussing today are food and cultural tourists or travelers, friend group travel, when you travel with your friends. I'm not talking bachelor party stuff here. I'm not talking just a random group of people. I'm talking about real friends who can communicate with each other. Pilgrimages, family travel, and independent travelers. So stick around. We're about to start looking at what makes good travelers. And we're continuing with our top 25 tourists of all time, heading towards the best of the best. Give it a watch. So now we're going to talk about good travelers. And you'll notice I have just kind of shifted over from talking about tourists to travelers. And I think there is a difference. A tourist is a person who essentially is largely ignorant of where they're going, doesn't do that much research. The best ones will read a Rick Steves guide or any other number of places. Really good ones will do a lot more reading, but then you're out of the tourist category. You're now in the traveler category. But a good traveler is someone who starts to realize, oh, I'm going to someplace different. I had a friend once in New York City who had been invited to go to Japan, just for some sort of conference or something. They liked her artwork. And I said, so, have you been reading up on Japan to get ready to go? And she goes, no. I just want it to surprise me. And I'm thinking, really? Japan? This is the place you're going to, just not get ready for because you don't know anything about the culture and you don't know anything about what you might do which could possibly be seen as offensive? You're just going to go there randomly? But that is the way we travel. And this is why I dislike the Instagram style tourism so much, because it's not about the place. It's about me being there and me having this wacky experience, wild experience. So, good travelers. Food and cultural tourists. Now, this is different than the usual tourists who might want to try the local cuisine in places and sample the local culture. But a real good food tourist, and there's a French guy named Alex who does this. He'll travel someplace to learn about how to make pasta, or how to make the best ramen noodles. Really interesting channel. It's all about food. But a food or a cultural tourist, and could be someone interested in art or interested in history or something like this, is essentially a person who is wanting to engage more deeply with some aspect of the culture. And this I heartily support. Now, it can involve a kind of snobbishness, but I think in the best cases, it's not about bragging about what you've done. It's about learning and showing a bit of humility in your travels. Then we have what I call friend group travel. Now, good friends traveling together for an extended time is a great idea. There is only one slight hiccup with all of this, and that is the possibility of staying in your own cultural bubble for the whole trip. And this often happens when the people stay together and stay together and stay together, and they're always coming back from their daily trips and talk about how crazy the things they saw were in that culture. So I would say the best way to get around that is to make sure you have times and days when people just go off on their own, because you need that. You need to have that time where you run into the culture without being protected from it. So friend group travel, though, can be wonderful. Even better would be couple travel, but we'll mention that near the end. Okay, here's another one, pilgrimages. And here I am specifically talking about religious travelers. I'm not talking about people who might use a religious destination as just part of their normal secular travels. But I'm talking about the people who, if they go on the Camino de Santiago de Compostela pilgrimage, and I was in one of the cities where that started in France, and it goes all the way over the Pyrenees into into Spain. It's a long trip. Some people do it in segments, and some people treat it like the Appalachian Trail. Well, okay, fine. It's much better if you treat it as a pilgrimage. That is to say that you're going with people who are looking to be respectful of their religious traditions, to see what the traditions are. But something similar can happen with Mecca, except, of course, if you're not Islamic, if you're not Muslim, you're not going to Mecca, period. It's just not going to happen to you. But I could imagine that would be a once-in-a-lifetime type experience for someone who is Muslim. Family travel. Now, family travel, as I'm talking about here, is more than a family vacation. Family vacations would fit into half a dozen other categories I've already talked about here, and some of the more troubling ones. Cruise ships, all-inclusive resorts, some other kinds of things. But with a family vacation, you have more freedom, more educational experiences. You're not going simply to pass through, but maybe you're going to visit where your family came from. And you're going to spend more time there. Now, in America, we have a problem in that we don't have time, unfortunately. People will say, Americans are always working. Well, one thing we're always doing is giving ourselves very short vacation time. One of the good things about living in Alaska is you could take a month vacation in the winter and everybody would think that was totally normal. I could take a 3-month vacation in the winter, and I did that once, and everyone thought it was normal. But a family travel is a way to bring the family together. Then we have independent travelers, finally. And as I said, it's different than a solo tourist. The independent traveler is someone who's really done their homework. They have spent time with guidebooks. They've also spent time with history books. When I first came to Georgia, and this always surprises Georgians in the best possible way, I read their national epic, The Knight in the Panther's Skin by Shota Rustavelli. Whenever I say that to Georgians, I get cred instantly. The independent traveler is doing things like looking for the real music of the culture, not the pop music, not the electronic dance music, but they're looking for the way this culture has the roots. The independent traveler is going places and asking questions. The independent traveler is going to a place maybe they've never been and really observing it. Or the independent traveler is going back to places they've already been because they've found it to be a wonderful place. One thing the independent traveler might say, okay, I'll tag along with a group tour to go see the Salzburg Castle. I've done that. But you're not doing it because you have to. You're doing it because, this could be a good thing right now. And you tag along. But it has nothing to do with your motivation for touring and traveling. Well, I hope you enjoyed our ranking of tourists, and I hope you weren't too offended. With the exception of the people at the bottom of the list, Most of these, there's always room for improvement. You can become a good traveler. You can go on and to become someone who really interacts with a culture, and that is the goal. The goal of travel is not simply to go, remain yourself, and come back. The point is to go, learn something, change your life, and come back and try to understand the world in a better way. So, you know what you can do before we get out of here? Subscribe to the channel. You can also share this video if you think it's worth something. You can also, what else could you do? Ooh, there is a PayPal link below if you want to contribute, and I'll give you a hint. I've got over 700 subscribers on this channel yet, and so far I'm waiting for the first person to actually give some money. And if you do, just write and say I'm first and pass some money, because I'll tell you the truth, I don't make any money off these, and I really need to. The only way I make money is I actually make money off another channel, which is not that big a deal either. But it's through people giving. And if you'd like to support what I'm doing here, and if you'd like to see more videos, because I'll tell you the truth, this is the channel that I think about cutting out when I think about cutting channels out, because I don't seem to be able to connect in a certain way. And maybe that's my fault. Or maybe I just need more support from you. You think about it. From Tbilisi, Georgia, this is Byrne saying Nachwamdis, which is goodbye, and Droebit. Temporarily. We will meet again.